get away from me. If I was you, I watch what you say to me. Snakes all in my bed, wanna lay with me. This ain't no motherfucking game, why you play with me? Don't play with me, this the only
Hey, welcome to Bubble Dribble Podcast. It's your boy Kase, and I'm live from Las Vegas, Nevada, West Side. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm here with your boy Adrian out of New York. What's going on, Adrian?
How you doing, Kase? Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, nice. Thanks for joining. And I'm also here with your boy Ian out of Dallas. What's going on, bro?
Hey man, happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Nice. And overall, pretty much this is the Bubble Dribble Podcast. It's the podcast for our fantasy league called Bubble A. It's pretty much a 30-team dynasty league with real salaries. We started it up simultaneously with the real NBA bubble startup. We got members from all different parts of the world, jumped right into our draft, and it already started off with a big boom, a big wave of trades, and that's pretty much what this episode is going to be. So over the next 45 minutes to an hour, we're going to talk about the most impactful trades, just an overall analysis. We're not going to get too much into team details, and that's pretty much it. So I'll start it off with the 17 trade that happened as soon as the draft ended, and I think the backbone to that whole thing was Adrian. So I'll kick it over to Adrian and give us a back end on that and just how it went down.
Sure. Thanks, Kase. So I know that was definitely a big one to kick off the league once the draft ended. I do have to give some credit to Chuck. He was the initiator on it. He had worked out a 3-team deal with the Patriots and with the Vipers, moving around some big names like Lillard, Paul George. I think he got himself Tatum nice and early, his supposed favorite player. And then he came to me asking about Thibault. I think he was looking to take advantage of Sixers and his love for Thibault. So I gave him Thibault. I got some first, and so it was really a 14 deal. And that's all we had. And then as we kind of started getting closer to the end of the draft, I started kind of exploring around some deals. I started talking with Knicks, got him involved, talking with the Go-Go, who hasn't made a trade since that 17-er, by the way. And then from there, lastly, got the Warriors involved. So it was really kind of, for me, it was like there was a 14 deal, and then I did like a 1, 2, 3. And so as opposed to having to trade and just wait for trades to process and then do another one or so on, just kind of went ahead and jumbled it all in together to call it a 17-er. So if I remember correctly from the Knicks, there was a trade around, I think I gave him like Sabonis, Wiggins, and Barrett. He gave me Kemba and I think Ingram were the main pieces. And then I got Devin Booker from the Go-Go for 3 firsts, including the first overall in this rookie draft. And then from there, sent both Ingram and Booker over to the Warriors to bring home the best player in fantasy.
Nice. So pretty much you pretty much combined a bunch of your trades that you were going to do into one, and it kind of worked out magically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'll say it was funny because those 3 that I orchestrated after the original 4-teamer all basically got like a handshake agreement on within like 30 minutes. So that was a very exhilarating evening for me.
Oh yeah, and definitely. I mean, that makes a lot of sense because when you scroll through the trade, when you get to red clause, it's like a paragraph. So you got a lot of moving pieces there. Ian, what you think about the trade? What was your initial reaction?
I mean, my initial reaction was just that Adrian has way too much free time, right? Because for this guy to put together this trade right after the draft, pretty impressive. A little intimidating for me because I haven't done dynasty fantasy basketball before. It's kind of my first year. I've done a year-to-year league for the past 5 years and kind of wanted to get more into the dynasty scene. So a little bit intimidating for me, but I mean, it's pretty impressive these guys just kind of cranked this trade out right after the draft was over with.
Yeah, definitely. I would say with me, Yeah, as I was watching Adrian draft, I was kind of like, okay, like I'm not a fan of, going young like that so early. I was kind of, in fact, I would say to cut it short, I was saying, what is this guy doing overall, right? So,
I
and,
asked
and then
myself the same question.
but what's funny is kind of how like initially like you called out my team like in the middle of the second round. It was like I think Case just filled up his IR spot. I was like, hold up,
I did.
who's this guy coming at me?
You
No, no.
drafted
So
Porzingis and Durant. What was I going to say?
I mean, I feel it. I feel it. I mean, but I would say this. I definitely respected the backbone that you seem to have, right off the jump, and I was glad we was able to kind of squash that little beef. I mean, it wasn't really a beef or whatnot, but just a little rivalry that we was about to run into. So that was
I
pretty
don't know,
interesting.
Case. I still got that rivalry with you because you refused to trade with me. So
I mean, it'll go down. It'll go down. Just patience. You know what I'm saying? Be patient.
you tell me I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the rookie draft starts, till free agency opens, and then I see you strike up like 2-3 trades already, and I'm just like shaking my head over here.
No, no, no. No, well, overall, the thing with me is that, I was having cap issues and whatnot. So whenever a trade came along, it was kind of decreasing my cap. So, but now, I mean, but we'll get to that. I want to get back to this 17 trade and just my initial reaction to just Adrian pulling this off. At first, watching him draft, I thought he was easy pickings. Like, okay, what's this guy doing? And then when I see him pull off this trade, I'm like, okay, whoa, this is somebody to watch out for. You know what I'm saying? Because overall, like, usually when someone comes with an unconventional style that you're kind of questioning, and then you kind of see like a little, I would say some genius in it as well. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch out for that kind of thing. So you definitely became a threat when I saw you pull off this trade. And then,
I appreciate the sentiment.
oh yeah, okay, no problem, no problem, definitely. And then my initial reactions was one, how the hell did Warriors pull off both Devin Booker and Ingram? I mean, I know he gave up
Yep.
Luka, but I'm like,
Nah.
how the hell he pull up Booker and Ingram?
Yeah,
Out of
Case,
that?
I'm right there with you because I mean I look at everything that went on in this 17 trade, and I know on our trade polling screen, it looks like Adrian and Warriors were tied in the voting 8-8, but Warriors, man, to get Booker and Ingram, and I realize he gave up Luca, but to get Booker and Ingram, I mean I just think that's a big accomplishment right off the bat, and we're going to get into it a little bit later what Warriors has done since then, but I think that was a great first trade for him.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I love that trade for him as well. In fact, I agree with these votings overall. Like I was kind of split between what Warriors got and what Red Claw got. So, so for Adrian to pull off Kemba, Luca, what I'm saying, off of Sabonis and Barrett, that's kind of, I mean, I know he gave up like Andrew Wiggins and stuff like that, but usually when you see like big superstars go in a trade, you kind of focus there and see the moving parts there overall. So,
Well, what
um,
was funny with that one is
mhm,
the Booker Ingram deal is purely my fault. I think I could have come out to be the clear winner of that trade and just made it a
mm,
6-teamer.
mhm.
I was just really overexcited about getting Luka because he's one of my favorite players. And
Okay.
so I did fully just myself do that trade with Warriors of Ingram and Booker for Luka and Lonnie. And I could have definitely had both Ingram and Booker.
Wow.
I sold
So you
some
were
of the guys
fleecing.
into. I
Uh-huh.
was fleeced apparently, fleecing and then fleeced. So I came out even.
Yeah.
But
Well, you shared your fleecing with him.
I did. You're welcome, Warriors. But yeah, I told a few people this story in the league. I have some bad history with Devin Booker, so I just had to get him off my books once I got him. Ian knows the story well, so I'm sure he's
Hey,
laughing to
yeah,
himself.
yeah. Adrian, why don't you go ahead and share that just real quick, 20 seconds on why
Sure.
you have bad history with
Basically,
Booker.
so I have a separate league with Ian, and we were in the playoff semifinals, and I was like dominating the whole year really. And I had Booker on my team. We were like in a really close matchup. I was dealing with some lower level injuries, and Booker was kind of just like day to day throughout the entire 2-week matchup. So I decided to drop him as we were getting close to the end of the second week. And when he got off waivers, like 2 days later, Ian picked him up. and that day was his 70-point game. And that was basically the difference in the matchup at the end. And Ian went on to win that year. And I had the most points as I was playing for third place. I had the most points out of everyone. It's a points league. I had most points out of everyone in the final as well. So I would have won the league had I not done that.
Yeah, not to get too off topic there, Kase, but just I think every fantasy player can appreciate just the fact that the day Adrian dropped Booker is when he went off for his most points ever. It's pretty funny.
That's funny. I actually like that you went there because significant games like that, it's nice to know where everybody was at in that time. Because me and myself, I was actually going against Devin Booker when he dropped that 70 bucket on my head. And what happened was he pretty much blew me out of the water when it came to like points and like threes and like I forgot what other categories. But my strategy was, all right, I had Victor Oladipo on my squad, and I actually dropped him because I was like, okay, I need to win field goal percentage to beat this guy. So I dropped him, and then my opponent picked him up and was laughing like, hi, and he gave me Victor Oladipo. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny, that Sunday that he picked him up, Victor Oladipo went like 3 for 13, and I won field goal percentage and won. I was like, whoa.
There you go, man.
Wow.
So yeah, that's an interesting story with that Devin Booker 70-point game and how he put me in a corner and I did something unconventional like that to overcome it. So that's interesting. But going back to this league, outside of Adrian and the Warriors, I see Chuck and the Kings got a lot of votes as well, and I definitely understand that too because I did get, I would say, a message from him about like he was telling me like, hey, I'm about to get Tatum and I didn't give up AD. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So a little history with him is that, you know, anybody that was in our previous league that this league stemmed from, if you were in this league with Chuck, you would just I guess be worried about his ability to swindle people in trades. You know what I'm saying? Because like he did like 2 major trades that pretty much made his squad unbeatable, and that's, you know, that league we had no salaries and whatnot. So you know how that could go. It can get pretty ugly, and he made it pretty ugly. So him being able to get Tatum, which is his favorite player, you know, and only being giving up Paul George. I understand PJ Washington and all those other pieces, but like I say, I like to focus on the top players and see the moving pieces there. And, you know, him pulling off Tatum and still getting like Chris Paul on the back end of that, you know, I think that was pretty nice for him as well.
There were definitely some clear winners and clear losers in that trade.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kings did a great job as well. I mean, we're showing a lot of love to Adrian, Red Claws, and Warriors, but no, I think anytime you get Tatum is a good day, right? I mean, I think he's probably the clear most desirable piece behind Luka, in my opinion, for either a rebuilding. I mean, especially for a rebuilding team. But whether you're competing or rebuilding, I mean, Luka and Tatum are both 1 and 2, in my opinion.
No, in fact, no, you make a great point. In fact, out of everybody in this trade, he got the second best piece. You know, so yeah, kudos to him.
Do you guys have Tatum over Giannis?
Oh no, hold on. Giannis was in there. Oh yeah, he was, huh?
Oh, you mean second best piece in the trade? Okay, got it.
Yeah, in the trade. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So let's move on. I know we can go more into that 17 trade and whatnot, but let's move on and let's discuss how Oubre was traded 5 times. What you guys think about that? Did you have Oubre floating in your inboxes?
Well, so that was a funny.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ian.
Go ahead, Adrian. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I think it was Warriors recently who brought it up of like who's been the player who's been traded the most. So I kind of started reviewing some, and it was funny because as I'm going through all of them, I was like, I had this player at one point or another, and I was very proud of that. And then I think we had established that I think it was Bagley was the one who was traded the most at like 4 times or something like that. And I had missed that Oubre was actually traded a couple more times than I had thought. So he's hit a total of 5. So I think he started on like the Herd, maybe, or maybe started with the Magic, one or the other. And I think it started from Hurd, went to the Magic, went to the Warriors. From the Warriors went to me. I sent him to the Drive, and now he was just traded recently over to the Skyhawks for Kobe White, really.
Oh wow, wow. It's only right that the model gets passed around, right? I mean, no homo, but
Yeah, I mean, I've at least been offered Oubre 3 or 4 times, different owners every time. I mean, I think he's a super interesting player, right? Because I'm not exactly sure, just watching in the bubble, I'm just not exactly sure how he's going to fit in with that Suns team. I'm not sure if they're going to look to trade him, if they're going to look to keep him. I mean, he's obviously talented. I'm personally a big fan of him. I put in a few offers for him myself. I'm just not really sure how much he's worth, to be honest. I mean, I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be good on anybody's team. I'm just not willing to kind of sell the farm for him.
and definitely,
There seems to be some clear believers and clear non-believers in Oubre.
yeah, I think you make a great point in that, Ian, in that his situation is kind of in limbo per se. Like we don't know how well he'll fit with it. I mean, we see he fits pretty well, but it's just we know he's the type of player that can get traded any second. Because he flashes with so much potential, but as far as how much a team feels like they need him, they don't feel like they need him. He just feels like a turbo pack to a team.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's exactly my kind of thought process. Is that out of anyone on that Suns team, I mean, he's going to be the trade piece, right? Because I think other teams are going to go after him because he does have that potential, he does have that skill, and I think the Suns might be able to get more than what he's worth if they trade him to somebody who's maybe in contention in 2021 or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great point because right now he's already starting to tap into his upside, so it's all about the longevity of that upside. So I think that's a great point you brought up, Ian. I guess moving on, we could probably talk about. Do you guys have any examples on that Oubre trade? I don't really have any on my end that I had to bring up.
The latest one I think was like basically Oubre for Kobe White straight. I'm a big fan of Kobe, so I was sort of indifferent on it. I guess I think Oubre has like some slightly more perceived value, but Kobe being 20 years old and how he finished up his rookie season in March, I think he's definitely got a lot of upside. So I think when I traded for him, I traded like picks 13 and 16 and Jalen Brunson for him in a few seconds, and I shipped them to Drive for a couple of first and John Wall.
Okay, yeah, and what's funny? I do feel like Kobe White does kind of have some similarity with Kelly Oubre as far as their situation being in limbo. Like they're very talented, they pop out on screen, like they're attractive trade pieces. So but it's just interesting to see both of them in that trade. But I mean, I'll take the Kelly Oubre side for sure. Pivoting over to let's talk about the best traders. I see here the first one that's listed here is Magic. Ian, do you have any feelings towards Magic and the trades and moves he's made, or has he been on your radar?
Man, to be honest, Magic really I really haven't paid that much attention to Magic. I think it's more of a quality over quantity type deal with him. But I've kind of been, to be honest, I've kind of been paying more attention to Drive and what he's been doing, just because he's been involved in so many different trades. Kind of been all over the board. I mean, I realize Magic has made some really good moves. I think, including he did Oubre and Dang for Paul George, which I thought was a good move for him. But for the most part, I've kind of just been focusing on those guys who have been making a trade. It seems like they've been making trade almost every other day. But Adrian, maybe you have more to speak on with Magic's trades.
I think Magic's just been one of those. Like I don't think I've successfully completed a trade with him just yet, though I've had a lot of discussions with him. But he just seems like he's been one that there's people who like you negotiate with, and right off the bat there's like a clear we have sort of equal value, maybe just don't have the right pieces, but no one's like clearly lowballing the other. And then I feel like there's other guys who you work with where like you get like a very clear lowball, and maybe you negotiate up to something that makes sense, or you just don't work something out. And with Magic, I think he's unfortunately one of those that like I perceived some like severe lowballs. Like I think he offered me like something crazy for Mitchell, like maybe like Devontae Graham in a first for Donovan Mitchell or something like that.
And you remember who did that?
The Magic. It wasn't
Magic.
a completed. It wasn't a completed transaction. It was just like discussions with him.
Okay.
And so it's just been interesting for me seeing his completed transactions with others. I've always found them to be very favorable for him, which sort of I guess makes sense with what I know from him. But it's just an interesting seeing kind of what he's been able to get. I think the one that I remember that he really got a good deal on was the amount he got for Bagley, I think, when he moved them. I don't remember what he got in return. I just remember really liking it for him. But I'm also really low on Bagley.
Yeah, that one definitely stood out to me. I would say this about Magic is when since the draft, because I pay attention to people's character from the draft, right? Since the draft, I already realized he's one of the more savvy personnels or team managers in this league. Like, whenever I was looking at a sleeper, like, oh my God, that guy's slipping. Whoop, Magic will pick him up. You know what I'm saying? So I would say as far as trading, I probably don't want to trade with him because he's great at trading, and I don't want to get fleeced. You know what I'm saying? Especially, just how you said, Adrian, like you said, he starts kind of with low balls, so he's definitely looking to improve every time. So I don't want to be improved on unless I'm improving as well. But
exactly.
yeah, but I guess pivoting from Magic, we could probably talk about the Knicks. Did Knicks make any trade that stood out to you guys?
I just like what the Knicks has done. I personally think he's positioned himself as one of the top teams in the league.
Okay.
I don't remember. I mean, I know he drafted Ingram first, and then I think took Kemba and Curry. So, like, right off the bat, he was completely strapped for cash with those contracts, and Ingram was going to probably be max or close to it soon. And so he was like just desperately looking to clear some cap, and that's how he got involved in that big 7-teamer where he sent me Ingram and Kemba, and acquired Sabonis and some other assets. But since then, I think he's been able to make some good trades. Kase, I think one that we had discussed a while back was him getting Paul George, who doesn't have any more, but the main piece he gave was Wiggins and like Norman Powell. And he got, I think, Paul George and DeJounte Murray in that trade. So he got like the arguably best two players in the trade for just like this package. And from there, I think he's been able to make some good moves to just have a very nice squad with Curry and Sabonis and a few others that I'm blanking on right now. I'm sure we can look up his name. But,
He has Curry, Sabonis, McCollum, OG. He's got Carmelo. He's got D Rose. I mean, some nice supporting pieces. Forbes and Barton, some guys who are good in their particular stat line. But yeah, I think he has a really nice team. The only thing I would say about him is that he has $3 million remaining in cap, so he's a little stretched there. But other than that, he's put a really nice team together.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. As far as Knicks, I guess he hasn't really stood out to me, but he is involved in one of the trades that I sent to the group, which is the one that you mentioned, Paul George, and the main piece was Wiggins. Here's the trade. Pretty much, he got Paul George, Will Barton, and DeJounte Murray for Andrew Wiggins, Daniel Theis, Norman Powell, Jay Crowder, Glenn Robinson III, and Knicks 2021 first. So, I mean, I know right off the bat, from the Patriots owner, I know he's a fan of that 2021 draft. So I understand that. But yeah, I mean, Andrew Wiggins, I do like his potential. I mean, Norman Powell, I like his potential. So like, it all depends what he could do with those pieces. Cause I think he is amongst the top or the leaders as far as frequency of trading. So I think he probably did flip those pieces. I might have to look in the details or whatnot. But yeah, he did give up quite a bit as far as Paul George, Will Barton, and DeJounte Murray. I feel like those could be highly coveted players that he could get more for. But hey, I mean his team overall still seems to be intact overall because based on the frequency of him trading. When you trade so much, like you're going to get some good ones, and you're putting yourself at risk of making a bad one. So I think this might have been a bad one, but he did make up for it with another trade. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It probably brings us to our next point of the worst traders. But I will say real quick that T-Choi, who is the Warriors, lied to us as far as who's traded the most in the league. He had me as the most, with himself second and Drive third. And I actually looked at it earlier today, kind of actually going through the FanTrack transactions. And actually, Pats is leading the way with 16 completed trades. So he's definitely made a ton of trades. And for me, he's just kind of been all over the place. And I guess our next point, assuming, would be the worst traders in the league. I'd probably have Pats in there now, but he's made some really nice ones for sure that have been great for him. But I think he's also made some big ones that weren't in his favor. Yeah, it's just been interesting, kind of seeing how he's put together his team. And it felt like he was going full win now, and then he traded for Jackson Hayes. I think that one was a really bad trade for him that people mentioned. So he just seems like he has a mixed team. So I'm not really sure what his plan in for this next season.
Okay. How about as far as the Warriors? I know they were up there as far as frequency of trading, and as far as the trade polls go, he was pretty much getting the downside. Like a lot of people didn't like his trades overall. How do you guys feel as how the Warriors were trading? What you think about it, Ian?
Yeah, man. So I kind of looked into the Warriors trades a little bit, and I already kind of talked about it on that 7-team trade that I really thought he was the winner in that 7-team trade, getting Booker and BI right off the bat there, right after the draft. He followed that trade up with OG, Forbes, and a top 10 protected first. So I mean, that's a good amount of assets to give up. But he got Paul George back on that. So now I'm looking at his team and I see Booker, BI, and Paul George. I mean, that's a pretty formidable win now team with also some rebuilding potential. I mean, you got Booker and BI who are young guys, but then you add in Paul George and you're competing, in my opinion.
Facts.
I mean, you're competing for a title right there, and then also have some long-term potential. I think he's kind of gotten a bad rap as of late. I think the league has kind of not been favorable to some of his trades. But I like what he was able to do early. I'm just not really sure where he's gone from there, to be honest. I mean, looking at his current team, he's got Booker and Brown, which I think is a nice 1-2 combo. But I would much rather have Booker, BI, and Paul George.
Yeah.
I mean, looking now, he's got Booker and Brown, and then a few nice supporting pieces. I mean, he traded, if I'm not mistaken, he traded pick 16 in this 2020 draft for Dort, which I think was a nice move as well. But I just think that I would have stuck with those big three originally, and then you have a guy like Dort, and you have some cap space to build off of around there. But since then, he's traded Paul George, he's traded BI, so his team just looks way different. He does have $15 million cap space. And he does have some 2021 picks, some 2022 picks. So I'm not really comfortable saying that he's one of the worst traders. I know that's kind of what we're talking about, because I really don't feel like he's one of the worst traders. I'm just a little confused maybe about what his overall goal is at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've talked to Warriors specifically about it, and every week he's rebuilding, and then the next it's I'm competing, and he just kind of goes back and forth. So I think, as far as you, Ian, you said you don't know what his direction is. I don't think he does either.
Yeah, no, Adrian. I mean, that's exactly what it seems like to me. That he doesn't know exactly which direction he's going in. That being said, he still has a lot of flexibility to go either way at this point. So credit to him for putting himself in that position. he hasn't really boxed himself into one or the other at this point. He's got some nice picks he could make some trades with, or he could go completely into rebuild mode. So it'll be interesting to see what he does from here.
Yeah. I would concur with most of what you guys are saying as far as him. It seems like he's just trading just to be trading. But hey, man, it seems like he's just having fun, man. And it's fun to have somebody in the league that's just making moves. In fact, if you're just how we said, like if you're aggressive with trading like that, what I'm saying, of course you're gonna put yourself at risk of making bad trades, but you're also giving yourself opportunities to make some steals as well. So if he could find a way to stabilize what he's doing, and like just with trading with so many people, you build a rapport. So I think that's kind of the backbone of what Adrian's doing and whatnot, with wanting to trade with all 29 teams or whatnot. So, hey, man, Warriors, get it how you live. We'll see what you're looking like when the season comes along and whatnot. But uh, when we start talking about the individual teams and details and looking at these punt builds and talking about the salaries and whatnot, we'll see how we feel about the Warriors when that comes around. But I don't really have any trades directly in front of me reflecting the Warriors, but let's go back to, I guess, one of the best traders I thought we didn't talk about, which is Grand Rapids Drive. He was also up there as far as frequency and whatnot. Uh, the first one that I see here that stood out to me was the Bulls getting Brandon Clark, Darius Garland, and a 2021 first, and Grand Rapids Drive got John Morant and Romeo Langford. So I mean, I get it. Brandon Clark, Darius Garland, like they do have some upside to their game and whatnot. And 2021 first is a great draft, but I'm about getting the piece. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big fan of him getting Morant, even though the votes seem kind of split. 7 votes went towards Grand Rapids Drive and 6 towards the Bulls. I mean, even looking at my vote, it looks like I said the whatever one, so like it was kind of like an even trade. But I mean, now that looking at it, I kind of like that Morant deal and just the bargaining you can do with that overall. So, uh,
Well, he shipped Morant pretty quick after that. He had like the SGA Morant 1-2 punch, but I think he got a good return for Morant. I think he got like Markkanen and Bridges and something else. I think a first. But yeah, Drive went into a situation where he basically went like full rebuild and got a ton of picks. I think he had like 7 firsts at one point, and then kind of started trading them away for players. And I think if you look at his team now, he's put together a very nice like starting 5, 6. He's very young, and definitely it shows a lot of promise. But his team is definitely more on the prospect side right now, as opposed to competing and winning a title. But I think we'll see some nice things from him if he can keep his cap together in a couple of years.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and Adrian, I kind of looked into Drive's trades, and from what I could gather, I mean that first trade was very close. I agree with Kase. It was a pretty even trade overall. Love that he was able to get Morant, but he did give a fair amount in that, and I think the poll reflects that it was pretty even. But from there on out, I think he went on to win the next 10 trades as according to our league polling, which is pretty impressive in my opinion. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Adrian. I mean, if you look at his team now, he's got a really nice young assets. I think his kind of plan is very clear, as opposed to some of the other guys we've talked about. I mean, you see guys like Lonnie Walker, White, Bridges, SGA, Bagley. I mean, he's got a lot of nice young assets, and really excited to kind of see what he does from here.
Nice. And I would say one of the more recent trades he did was with Skyhawks. And now that I remember, that trade involving Markkanen and Bridges and whatnot for Morant, right? Wasn't that between Skyhawks as well? I think so.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Skyhawks now has Morant.
Okay, yeah. So that was interesting because I think Drive possibly got him a little bit on that trade. And I think Skyhawks got him back on the second trade where it was Kelly Oubre Skyhawks got Kelly Oubre and Drive got Kobe White, Doug McDermott, and a 2021 second. I mean, even though the polls are actually leaning towards Drive. I didn't vote, but I would have voted for Skyhawks. But that's just interesting to see them, teams trading multiple times like that. So
yeah, I mean, I would say like real quick as far as like some sleeper teams go,
Yeah.
I think Skyhawks is definitely one of those. Like he's got
Definitely.
Jokic, Morant, now just acquired Oubre. Like he's definitely got a nice top core. So definitely be on the lookout for him. And then I also think the Clippers are actually quite nice. They're so young, and he has like a ton of picks and stuff, but he already has a Mitchell Ingram duo. So that's obviously real solid. And I actually think, Kase, if you can stay healthy, I think you're also a very sleeper team as far as winning it all this year. You've got obviously the Porzingis Durant duo, and I think you acquired Markkanen, if I'm not mistaken, recently.
Yep.
So you definitely have a nice squad on your end as well if you can stay healthy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going back to Clippers. I like that you mentioned here because a lot of people don't like Donovan Mitchell as a fantasy player right now. I actually wanted him on my squad, but I knew he wouldn't fall to like what is it? I had like pick 23 or something like that. But yeah, I do like the Levert's upside, especially if they trade him out of New York and whatnot. And then and then the trio of Brandon Ingram and then Schroeder. He's still relatively young, so yeah, I definitely like what they did with the Clippers and whatnot. So I mean, we'll get into more detail in that when we talk about the teams in more detail. So
Yeah,
you
guys,
guys,
I would just like to point out, looking at Clippers team here on the screen, and I know these numbers haven't been adjusted yet, but 48 million remaining in cap space. So this guy has a lot of flexibility in what he's going to do. I'm super high on BI. I think he's going to be a great player. Mitchell still has a year, I believe, on his rookie contract, if I'm not mistaken. Might get roasted tomorrow on the chat for that, but I think he has a year left on his rookie contract. So, I mean, I love him on that contract. I love him regardless. I think he's going to be a great player. I'm not really sure.
Brandon Ingram.
Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's going to be a great player. So, I think this Clippers team is one of the ones I kind of have circled that I'm very interested to see what he's going to do because he has a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, that was smart of him to create that cap space because BI about to get that fat check. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so good move by him. Are there any other trades on your guys' ends that you guys want to touch? You, Adrian, you, Ian, or no? Okay.
No. I mean, I think we kind of touched on them as we were going there.
Okay.
I think
all
I would say is that I think it's been a really active league so far, which has been great considering we don't even know when the next season is going to take place. So I mean, it's been great to have something to do while we're on quarantine, or at least I would assume the vast majority of us are. And just say keep the trades coming because it's very entertaining.
Oh yeah, definitely. Adrian, you have any trades on your end?
I mean, I think the only other one, I think we've come across most of the big ones. I think the only other thing that I'm sure you guys wanted to bring up was the back and forth between Warriors and I, between essentially Bam and Jalen were the core pieces.
Oh yeah, definitely. So go ahead and detail those trades and what went into the inner workings of those.
Well, it was funny because like Warriors and I were just sort of joking, I guess, and talking about doing a big trade. We just felt like that we weren't really compatible, and I was at that point pretty set on not moving Luka or Bam, and he threw out some sort of offer of like Jalen and Bagley for Bam as a joke, and I actually thought that was a pretty good offer. So it just sort of kind of became a little bit more of a conversation. And took a little negotiation. At some point, we were trying to incorporate third team, a fourth team. Ian, I actually think you were part of that. And then that didn't work out, and we ended up just striking a deal between us two where I got Bam, I gave up Bam and got back Jalen and Bagley as the core pieces, and then from there, I hate Bagley, so he was purely for trade value, and Drive really wanted a center. I know centers are in desperate need for some teams, so I was able to coordinate a deal with Drive to give him Bagley, so he was satisfied, and I got back, I think, a good return. One big piece I really liked was Troy Brown, and then the next day I was kind of talking again with Warriors, and he was sort of a little bit upset at how many people had said I won the trade, and so we sort of talked about kind of a trade back, and I was definitely open to it because I love Bam. He's one of my favorite players as well. And so we ended up kind of coming to agreement on a trade back where I had to send him Jalen back, even though I kind of did want to keep him, but would rather have Bam for sure. And just gave some of the assets that I got from Drive in the Bagley deal instead of Bagley, obviously. And so I think I came out pretty net positive from that kind of 1-2 punch. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Adrian, can you go ahead and just spell it out for the rest of us what you came away with net on that? I mean, because it gets a little confusing when you go back and forth and look at a few different trades, but kind of what was your net benefit out of that, or what was your strategy at least trading back for Bam?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the strategy was just get back Bam, I think, because it put me in a bind where I didn't really have an elite center besides Cousins, whatever you want to call him. And so I was able to, I think what it came out to for me was I gave away Tim Hardaway, Pat Connaughton, and pick 15, and got back Troy Brown, I think like 3 seconds, and pick 13. So I basically got Troy Brown for Tim Hardaway, 3 seconds for Pat Connaughton, and pick 13 instead of pick 15. So I think it was a win all around for me.
Oh, nice. I'm actually a big fan of Bagley. So I actually like the Bagley, Jalen Brown side. Even though I'm also a big fan of Tim Hardaway, but I'm starting to give up on the upside that I had on him. You know, he's starting to get to that age. He's about 28. I mean, that's like the middle of your prime.
I'd like to call out the Swarm, because I think he put in the chat that Tim Hardaway is a better win now player than Bagley. And I understand Bagley has some problems with staying on the court, but I thought that was a terrible take, because Tim Hardaway is not that valuable. There's a reason why I was trying hard to move him.
Man, to that point, Adrian, I think it's super interesting. I completely disagree with Swarm, first of all, but I think Bagley has a large amount of value in this league. I don't remember exactly how many times he's been traded. I think I'm not sure if he made like the top 5 list, but he's definitely been up there. He's been moved a few times. And Kase, I know you said you're super high on him. For me, man, he's just that injury issue that he's been dealing with. Just kind of negates his value a little bit to me, but certainly one of those guys, kind of high risk, high reward, because he certainly has the talent. I'm just interested to see where he kind of takes it from here.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what powers him being tossed around so much, is that, you know, he has this upside that is like, wow, like I want him. But like the minute you get him, you're like, man, is he gonna be healthy? Like, I don't know if I want him that much. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, you know, you can go through the motions when you think about Bagley's potential overall. But my take on Bagley is this. I mean, when he played, you know, like his rookie season and whatnot, like the coach wasn't giving him the opportunity to just go out there and make all the mistakes and improve. You know what I'm saying? He averaged, I think, about 24 or 25 minutes per game, you know, and I mean, that's some playing time, but, you know, it allowed him to, I think he averaged about 16 or 17 points and about 8 or 7 rebounds, something like that. And I'm like, hey, if you give him a full-time, you know, starting job, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this guy could really get up to like 22, 23 points per game, maybe like 10 rebounds, and like even like his blocks aren't bad. He can probably do 1.5 or maybe even two. So I mean, just overall, I like his talent. I think him being a big man, a center, I think. His him being a center and his ability to score, if he can be healthy and he's given the opportunity, I think he has the potential to actually be a top 10 fantasy player. I think looking at his rookie season, he was drafted with Luca and Trey Young, and I think the shine that duo or drew pretty much put what Marvin Bagley did into the shade, and a lot of people weren't paying attention to that. So
Well, Case, he's
overall,
on the drive now, so you know how often Joy over there in Australia trades. So go get him. If you think he has top 10
yeah,
potential, go get him.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. Go ahead.
I would just say, Case, I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you or not when you were saying that, but you were spot on, man. Like pretty
Hmm.
much 15 points a game, a block a game, and then about 7, 8 rebounds a game. But the guy's only playing 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So if we can get him to normal minutes, man, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I get it. It's just all about whether the owners are willing to take that injury risk at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Because honestly, like I owned him his rookie season, and whenever he played like a full time minutes, I was like, whoa, this guy's averaging like 24, 25 points per game when he fully plays, and that's a rookie. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I mean that's not the exact number of what he was averaging, but like he was getting that pretty consistently whenever he got the minutes. So he'll do like 24 and 10, and like he might get like a block or two. So I mean, I think he can hit that ceiling once he gets better. He learns how to, play within his body and whatnot. Anthony Davis went through this early in his career whenever he played, he got injured. These season-ending injuries and whatnot, and those seem to disappear. So, I mean, I don't want to say disappear because he still has these little knacks when he's just questionable throughout the whole season and whatnot. But he plays. You know what I'm saying? He plays. So. I mean, I think Bagley could have not AD upside, but I think top 10 upside. So, but yeah, the injury risk is there because like the great whatever Stephen A. says was what is it? The best ability is availability. So if he's not available, then what's the point? So.
That's right, 100%.
All right, you guys have convinced me. I'm going back for Bagley, Joy.
Hey,
Oh
Adrian, if you
man.
get Bagley, that's how you gonna get the trade with me.
Okay, three-way coming. Heard it here
Three way.
first.
All right, bet. As far as me, I think there are two or one more trade I wanted to talk about. I don't think we touched on, and this is the Nets receiving D'Angelo Russell, DeAndre Hunter, and a 2021 second round pick, and the Capitans received was it Miles Turner, Josh Hart, DeAndre Jordan, and a 2020 what is it the last pick of the 2020 draft. So I mean, I guess I just want to discuss that because of D'Angelo Russell and his upside. Like, what do you guys think of like D'Angelo Russell's value versus Miles Turner's value?
I mean, for me, obviously there's, I don't remember what Turner's salary is at, but I know Russell's obviously been max, so he's pretty up there. I think he's another one that has problems with being available. I think he's had some severe injury concerns over his career. But I think that the bigger implication in that one is for the Nets, because he lost his center. So I think I know to share some rumors, he's one of those that has been like interested in acquiring a center. I think when I briefly had Bagley, he reached out. And so I think he's been kind of on the hunt for a premier rim protector, and he hasn't been able to find one as of yet. But his guards are stacked. I mean, he's got Russell, Van Vliet, and Beal. But yeah, so as far as that specific trade, it looks like the Nets. I mean, most people voted the Nets on that one. So I think people like Russell's ability. I think Hunter's also a nice prospect. If he can get some increase his stocks a bit, he'll be pretty valuable. So yeah, I think overall the trade itself was better for the Nets, but it just kind of put him in a precarious position as far as having a big man.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think Adrian's right. I think people are. I would assume the league's generally higher on Russell just by the way they voted. I mean, it was a 12-2 vote. Honestly, I think it would have been a little closer, in my opinion. I didn't vote on this trade, but I think Miles Turner has a similar amount of upside, and Russell. I mean, Russell's ceiling is definitely the highest
Mhm.
in the trade. But I mean, I just don't think we've seen that yet out of him, and I think Miles Turner is a great fantasy option. But I completely understand what Adrian is saying. Is Nets kind of put himself in a position where now he doesn't have a center. So
Mhm.
and that's just one of the things that really isn't taken into account when you look at the league trade polling is people aren't, and I don't blame them because I'm not doing it either, but people aren't going in saying, oh, well, how did this trade benefit this team specifically? Like, how did this trade impact this team's build? And people
Mhm.
aren't really doing that, and I'm not either.
Yeah.
So, and I don't expect
Exactly.
anybody to do that,
Exactly.
but
We're just going
trade
off value.
exactly. People are going off value for their own team, right? They're
Mhm.
applying their principles, their trade value to the
Mhm.
trade that was taking place. But does it fit the build, right?
Mhm.
That's really the question at the end of the day. And I think it was a pretty even trade overall.
Okay.
It's a good
Nice.
point, Ian.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, because I would say overall, as far as just value, because we have to take position into consideration when we just say overall value. I think it is a more even trade than what the voting says, which is 12-2. Um, just because of Miles Turner's center eligibility and whatnot. But I mean, I don't blame him for 12 votes going towards the Nets as far as, getting D'Angelo Russell and DeAndre Hunter. Because, I mean, when we just talk about D'Angelo Russell and Miles Turner, I asked myself the question, like, okay, they do have, I guess, relatively similar upside. They're in a similar neighborhood, but whose upside do you trust more? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I trust D'Angelo Russell's upside more, like his potential to touch that upside and, be I guess, return to being an all star and whatnot. And Miles Turner, you kind of have to rely on him to be in a certain situation on a certain team. Whereas D'Angelo Russell, he the point guard. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you put him, he has the opportunity to kind of hit that upside. So, I think I don't blame that. And then even if you say D'Angelo Russell, Miles Turner is relatively even, when you talk about DeAndre Hunter, and then the other side getting what is it, Josh Hart and what is it, DeAndre Jordan? Like, I feel like Josh Hart, although he's relatively young too, we kind of know what he is as a player. He doesn't have too much of an upside. Um, I mean, I guess it depends on your build. You know what I'm saying? When you pair him with Miles Turner, when you think of that type of build, yeah, he does seem to have some upside there. But as far as just, 9 categories, take them all into consideration. Josh Hart, DeAndre Jordan, we kind of know where they are. They kind of like medium, mid range, kind of mid round kind of guys. Whereas DeAndre Hunter is like um even in his rookie year, he was flirting with the top 100 ranking. So DeAndre Hunter, like, I feel like he has potential to have like a high upside. So I think, getting that pair, D'Lo and DeAndre Hunter, I definitely agree with the voting. I would rather have that pair. But
And I just looked up Miles Turner's contract,
mhm,
and he's at 18 mil and through 2023.
nice,
That's a nice contract to have.
nice, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. And when you take that into
I think.
consideration, mhm,
Sorry, Case. I was just going
go
to
ahead.
say that I think it's just one of those things that it's just upside versus consistency, right? I mean, I think Turner and DeAndre, they're going to get you your rebound stats. They're going to get you a decent amount of points. I think the clear upside is with the Nets, right?
Hmm.
But with upside comes risk. So I mean, it's just a little bit of a trade off. But
Yeah.
overall, I think it was a more even trade than the polling made it out to be.
Okay, definitely. I agree with you there. I agree with you there. Um, you want to talk about the teams that didn't trade yet? As far as like Skyforce, the Suns in charge, like Adrian.
Last three remaining.
Okay.
I've tried. Actually, I think I have technically not reached out to the Suns.
Okay.
But I've tried so hard with the charge for Naz Reid. I think probably at least 15 teams have asked Skyforce about Nurkic. He's not moving him unless he gets like a first round guy, honestly. So yeah, those three are definitely tough to trade with. But I think Skyforce will definitely be involved once the draft hits, because he's got like a mountain of draft picks in this draft. So I think he'll be looking to package them up or something.
Okay.
So I think we'll be down to 2 at least come rookie draft. But Suns in charge have been tough.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, looking at Suns team, I kind of understand why it'll be tough because one, I don't know how many people will be willing to take on LeBron motherfucking James. I remember when he said that when he drafted him. that was pretty hilarious. But and then with Pascal Siakam's recent performance in the playoffs, his stock is very low right now. So I don't think he'll be making any trades anytime soon, unless someone reaches for like Rui Hachimura, or I guess they fall in love with what Jeff Green did during the playoffs, or Sarge got some trade value as well. So okay, when you look at his minor spots, you got like Kendrick Nunn, Shake Milton. Um, so yeah, we'll see how that goes with the Suns and whatnot. And you said, I think you said Charge. They oh no, you said Skyforce has all those draft picks, and we'll see what they do with that and whatnot. So I mean, honestly, we could also talk about what they did as far as just taking all the draft picks, because when I was looking at where the draft picks were going within our draft, I feel like they were kind of going relatively late because of the notion of this 2020 draft isn't good and whatnot. But honestly speaking, when you need the prospects and whatnot, they this draft is kind of loaded with role players. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say there's like all star superstars. We're looking for gold and whatnot, but um yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. But I guess we
I
can
think we'll get a lot of more trades once the draft starts. Should be fun.
yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Adrian.
Okay, yeah, definitely. But I guess with that, we could kind of wrap this up pretty much soon. We're approaching the hour mark. Is there any other topic you guys want to talk about, Adrian?
I think I'm good on my end. This
Okay.
definitely been a lot of fun. I really like the having the trade poll channel in our league, and just seeing kind of getting a pulse check on how everyone feels on each trade. So that's been a super fun addition. So whoever orchestrated that, as far as like the mods go, thanks for that. That's been a lot of fun for me and you. So yeah, this league, as Ian kind of said earlier, it's been a lot of fun. Been very active. I definitely obviously want to keep the trades coming, and I hope that I continue receiving the respect as the trade king over some of my other competitors.
Nice. Well said. As far as that trade polling channel goes, that was something that we implemented in our previous league that stemmed from this. That was an idea that came mid-season. So we just like to bring in the good ideas and bring them into this league and make this league good as well. So Ian, do you have any closing remarks that you have?
Yeah, Kase. Closing thoughts from me, man. First of all, just shout out to all the, I don't know whether you call them kind of executives or mods.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the way this league's run. Like I said, it's my first year in Dynasty, but I've been playing fantasy basketball for 4 or 5 years now, and I really like the way we set it up on Discord. I like a lot of the things we're doing. I like the rules and scoring for the most part, and I think it's really well ran. I guess my closing remarks would just be to the guys. A couple of guys on like the trade block. They're kind of just like, "Hey, I'm putting this guy out, but only if I get a ridiculous offer." Or on the flip side, or not the flip side, but kind of that same vein. The guys who are like, "Yeah, I'm willing to put this guy out, but just give me offers. Like, I don't really want to talk about it." All I would say is just like, man, trading is a negotiation. It's all about communication.
Definitely.
We all get those lowball offers. I know I'm guilty of sending some lowball offers myself. But man, it's just a starting point in the trade. So let's just keep that communication going, and eventually we'll be able to find a way to make a deal.
Yeah. Like instead of seeing them as personal shots to the chin, just see them as icebreakers. You know what I'm saying? like a lot of times we see a lot of low balls and you be feeling disrespected. Like, who does he think I am? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, as far as the trade polls and whatnot, I feel like it adds a little atmosphere of pressure to when you're negotiating trades. You're like, oh man, I don't want to make a trade where they go in on me on the Discord. So, I kind of like that aspect to it. Interesting fact.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of pressure, but that's what makes it fun. And I just don't think everyone's so experienced in this league, in my opinion, that you're just not going to get that home run trade, right? For the most part. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times in the trade polling. At least, the majority consensus would be somebody hit a home run. But for the most part, I mean, you're seeing pretty good trades, and a lot of guys in this league really know what they're doing. So
Nice.
I just think you got to expect to have some pretty intense negotiations moving forward.
Nice, definitely. An interesting fact is I am yet to post on the trade block, so we'll see what my.
All right, Kase, get on there, man. Come on, send some my way. I want to make a deal.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll definitely get some trades popping off after Dragic gets his renewal of a salary and I get some more cap and add some flexibility. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I would say to wrap this up, these are just opinions, not facts. Anything you disagree with, leave us a comment, send messages or whatever. Always willing to debate and see other perspectives. Next few episodes we'll be getting into more details for individual teams. We got Chuck and Ben to tag along with those. And with that being said, thank you for listening to the Bubble Dribble Podcast. It's the realest basketball fan alive, Kase, with your boys Adrian and Ian, and we out.
Get away from me. If I was you, I'd watch what you say to me. Snakes all in my bed, wanna lay with me. This ain't no motherfucking game, why you play with me? Don't play with me, this the only thing I love. I love, I love.